I know your take is, that there's these billionaires behind the scene that are helping, or that are basically stifling free press, right?
Yeah.
So that's part. But do you mean just the Hulk Hogan thing?
No. I'm talking about the whole overarching theme of it, not just the Hulk Hogan. The Hulk Hogan thing is great, a great part of it, because it kind of sets it up, and it kind of is like a great kind of like clickbaity thing for the documentary. Like it makes sense to draw more attention to it,
right?
And it's kind of like the catalyst which sets it off. But like the overarching theme of these crazy overlord billionaires who are trying to control the free press.
I like
He's
that.
sick, doesn't he? He's got great. It's like what was the Bozak? What was the dark something of credit card
Miami's
fraud?
dark lord of credit card.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are just like anyway. Yeah, I mean, what do I think? It's funny because to me that's something that like you have special interest groups, right? Like lobbyists and stuff that do that all the time for laws, and it's not illegal. Like what they did wasn't illegal, but they also bought that one guy who bought the newspaper. It was a small local town newspaper. It wasn't massive. He didn't change. He didn't.
No, I think that was the biggest newspaper in Las Vegas.
It's Las Vegas, though. It's not
Las
like
Vegas is pretty. Yeah, I guess I don't know.
It's not like it's massive, and even so, you didn't buy them all.
That guy's name was Sheldon Adelson,
right?
The richest man in Vegas. He was the richest casino owner in Vegas. He just died last year.
Well, yeah. Then they're back to printing whatever they want.
But he was trying to hide the fact that he bought that newspaper, right?
Yeah.
He did not want anybody to know that.
Yeah, he did a horrible job.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to have my son-in-law is going to your son, like obviously we know that you're involved. You did it.
You have all the money.
Yeah, your son-in-law runs some whatever he ran for him, I'm sure.
The Peter Thiel Gawker thing is Peter Thiel didn't hide from that at all. He was like, yeah, I funded
he came out like the next day.
Yeah.
That's right. He let him know.
I like that.
What did he do?
Yeah. That's kind of gangster. I like the way Peter Thiel did it. Because fuck Gawker. I mean, Gawker was kind of just like, they were just like grenade throwers. You know what I mean? They weren't really like doing any meaningful journalism. They were just doing like tabloid grenade throwing.
They had come out with some stuff before everybody else came because they required less. There was less scrutiny in their underwriting in their journalism. Like they didn't require all these different people to verify the story. So they heard about something, they said sounds credible, run with it, as opposed to someone like the New York Times who's like, hey, we need two different sources, we need someone within inside the administration. Like they're not running with just anything. Gawker was running, and on a few occasions it was a big story. Like, oh my God, we blew it first. Yeah, because you have no standards.
Right.
So yeah, they didn't, knocking out Gawker wasn't a big deal. And Gawker, look, as far as your you having a right to privacy, like you do have a right to privacy. Like you're in someone's house and they're videoing you, and then they sell the video. Like I'm not in public, bro. Like you need my permission to video me and sell it. Like you can't just do that. Like I get it if we're in public and you're videoing me. Like we're in public. Everybody can see this. We're in public. You can video me and sell it. That's news. But yeah, this dude's in his house and banging his wife. Like it's a whole nother fucking weird.
And he clearly didn't even know he was being filmed.
Yeah, it's a whole weird issue. And
the crazy part is Bubba only had to pay him $5,000.
Yeah.
How weird is that?
The whole thing, You
know what I really liked about it?
Odd.
The thing about the documentary is they were really kind of dumb. Some parts of it were pretty dumb to me. Like the people they were interviewing were talking about how the lawsuit was structured with Hulk's legal team versus Gawker, and the people that were interviewing the people that worked at Gawker, and they were like, we knew something was really, really fishy and not right when they removed one of the charges for psychological distress,
right,
or mental distress. They removed it because Gawker's insurance policy for lawsuits would no longer cover them if that was not part of the lawsuit. So they're like, so this was really weird. Like that's not normal. Of course that's normal in a lawsuit.
Well, because now you
don't want the person you're suing to have money. That's the point. All lawsuits, especially those kind of civil suits, the point of those lawsuits is to fucking run them out of money.
Right.
Because you're not going to win. It's a pony show.
I think what they were saying was, the way I understood it was, if they did win, the insurance company would pay the verdict. If they removed the insurance company, then Gawker's owners were liable. They could bankrupt the company and they could go after the owners. You see what I'm saying?
That's not what I got from it. What I got from it was that they had a corporate insurance policy that covered the expense of lawsuits like that. So it would pay for
the lawyers and the if they won, and the suit if they are the verdict.
I don't know about the verdict. I don't know how that. I don't know.
See, I took it as the verdict.
Even if they did win, I think even if Gawker did win, I don't think they would have gotten any sort of money from that. I think they just would have won. It would have been a wash. Because they weren't countersuing, right? They were just defending themselves. They weren't the plaintiff.
I think they were just defending
So
themselves.
their insurance policy was just going to cover their legal fees for their lawyers. And if they removed that part of the lawsuit, then now their insurance company has an out. They don't have to cover their expenses anymore.
See, I was thinking that if they lost, our insurance company would pay whatever the damages were. Like if it was $100 million, then now the insurance company has to pay. And I'm sure there's a cap like of $20 million.
It would have.
Right.
It would have.
So to say, hey, I want to have them removed so that they cannot contribute because we want to make sure we hurt Gawker.
Right.
Like that's the way I took it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
like it was personal. It was personal.
Yeah.
I don't want your insurance to bail you out. I want to make sure I bankrupt you.
Right, but still you have a way better chance of winning. So if you don't remove that piece of the lawsuit and they have insurance now covering their expenses, you're going to go for a bigger pot of money, but you have a smaller chance of winning because they have unlimited funds now, but
for their lawyers to fight you.
For their lawyers to fight you. If you remove that little piece of it,
these guys
now they have.
Isn't the guy that owns Gawker, wasn't he worth millions anyway?
Yeah, like, how much is he going to pay out of his pocket versus out of an insurance policy? I don't know.
No, you're right. The insurance policy is probably going to pay a lot more. Yeah, because especially if they're liable if they lose, like we're going to dump a bunch of money because if we lose, we're going to get hit for $100 million.
Right, exactly. So now they changes their whole way of thinking. They're fucking on their heels now if they're paying it out of their own pocket. So you're gonna win a smaller amount of money, but you're gonna have a way greater chance of winning that lawsuit because you're gonna fucking run them out of money.
Yeah, they have less ability to mount a defense. But either way, he ended up winning and got $115 million. If he got $115 million,
he didn't. Bubba even said he's like when it all shook out after they paid the fees, paid the lawyers, blah 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 blah. Probably got like 20 or 30.
I mean, 20 or 30. Yeah, it's not bad.
Not a bad day at the office.
Right?
No, that ain't bad.
Yeah, I and then he turned around and he sued Cox Media.
That was the bigger one.
Yeah, yeah. Then he sued
he got like 70 out of Cox.
And he sued somebody else and got like 40. He got another 110. Like
who else was?
I forget the second one that he sued Cox Media and then another company like I don't know who like Warner or ABC or CBS or someone else. He sued them too. Bam, they paid him too. So he's got. Like that's probably one of the best things that ever happened to him.
Yeah, that was a big payday.
Yeah, that was a big chunk of
What a life, man! What a roller coaster of a life. He went straight from his divorce, where he was like ready to kill himself and blow his brains out, to that.
Yeah. Well,